Welcome to another episode of Election Desk here on GhanaWeb TV. We are at the court complex in Accra. We're going to speak to lawyer Martin Kpebu. We want to bring you some legal interpretations to all the things that have been happening in the last few weeks. And if you were not aware, Parliament and the Supreme Court have been engaged in what people call a standoff because the Speaker of Parliament, Bagbin, ruled on a motion that was brought to him some days back from the minority about some 4 seats in Parliament, where eventually the seats were declared vacant. But the majority, the MPP at the time, took the matter to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court actually ruled that the decision of the Speaker of Parliament be stayed. Now that turned into another matter for this country to be on tenterhooks. But when the Speaker of Parliament eventually reconvened Parliament on October 22, Tuesday, he only did what many people think was perhaps the best decision, to adjourn the House indefinitely. Let's understand the legal implications of all of these and how this might affect the pending elections in December. My name is Echi Atisu. Come along, let's speak to Martin Kpebu. Lawyer Martin Kpebu, first of all, we know in the last week and over what's happening in Parliament, the eventful things that have happened in Parliament, from the vacation of some 4 seats up onto the Supreme Court matter. First of all, what do you make of all that has happened in the last week? The Supreme Court issue, the Speaker of Parliament actually now adjourning Parliament indefinitely. What do you make of all the events that have happened the past week?
I take it that Ghana is also going through its own challenges, okay, as part of the process of maturation of our democracy. Yes, it's a process. It's just like the way a child is born. It doesn't start sitting from day one. It lies on its back. It can only lie down, right? Then eventually the child is able to sit. Then later it's able to crawl and then walk, etc. So in the same way, our democracy is growing. So these events that have happened are a normal part of the growth. Because you see, let's look at it. January 7th into January 7th, 2021. There was a brawl in Parliament where people fought, right? But this time you see that they avoided the fight with the majority just walking out. So it shows you that we are growing. Good. So that's a sign of growth. Other parliaments, the big democracies, you look at the UK, look at US, yes, they've had those challenges over 100 years ago. People fought in those parliaments too. Even in some of the parliaments were burnt down by angry citizens. Of course, that was over 100 years ago. I'm not justifying these things happening, but it's a fact of life that it takes time to mature. We cannot run away from it. There are Supreme Court decisions, okay, Clocksack versus Attorney General, where the Supreme Court even looked at it and admitted that we are not yet there. So the maturation is a process. It's not a one-day event, okay? So that's it. That I'm just facing realities that these things will happen no matter how they will happen. So the upshot is that once now you see that my understanding is that they are negotiating a peaceful coexistence, a peaceful resolution of it. We are on the right path. You can't avoid these things. They are unavoidable as part of the process of maturation and growth.
Okay. Now, the decision by the Speaker of Parliament to actually adjourn the House indefinitely, many people say that that was not perhaps the smartest move that the Speaker made, or that the Speaker was just running away from handling the issue head on. What do you make of that?
No, I vehemently disagree. That was the best that the Speaker could do in the circumstances, because don't forget, tempests were very high. That's why I said I compared the matter of 22nd October 2024 to the events of 6th and 7th January 2021. 6th and 7th January, when they couldn't agree, the MPs resorted to a fight. There was a brawl, complete fight, right? Mutaka, the other people, the Carlos Ahinkura taking the ballots and all that fight in Parliament. To the extent that they avoided it this time, it's a sign of growth and maturation. So you could see that clearly the Speaker was unhappy. But going to the sitting of 22nd October, many people had spoken to the speaker, and he himself admits that that process had not yet been completed. So you see that the majority leader mentions that the speaker said he's adjourning in order to go and continue with the consultation. So people who are saying that wasn't the best, I mean, it's a democracy. They are entitled to their opinions. But as I've mentioned, in the circumstances of this case, that was the best. When it says indefinitely, it doesn't mean for years. You see that the same constitution provides that 15% of the membership of parliament can petition or requisition a meeting, and you see it's been done. They required about 41 MPs, right? And the MPP got it. So they've requisitioned the speaker to recall parliament, right? So it's part of the legal process. No, please, before we say speaker didn't do well, we should analyze all the facts. With Tempest High, didn't you see that in the chamber, the majority, and now we don't even know which is majority and which is minority. So let's say all the members sought to sit on one side, each NDC caucus claiming that they are majority, MPP also claiming they are majority, so they sat on the same side, right? Yes, that would have been a recipe, probably a recipe for chaos if they attempted to go on. You could see tempests were high. So when tempests are high, you have to withdraw and temporize. That's how it's done. Yes.
Now, the MPP has actually made a move to get the speaker to recall parliament. And like you alluded earlier, there's also the other composition of some members of parliament who are trying to get the speaker to call back the House. Now, first of all, I want to understand whether this is a move that should have been made by a political party. Is that something that any provisions of our constitution allows for, that a political party could be asking perhaps the Speaker of Parliament to recall Parliament?
Okay, so my understanding of it is that, you see, the constitution says 15% of the members of Parliament. So unless maybe I didn't see something, but I thought it's the MPP members of Parliament who did the requisition. Is that correct? So that's allowed. As members of Parliament, it's the members who can come together, at least 15%, and requisition, ask that Parliament be recalled. So it's a constitutional provision that they've invoked or activated. So it's fine that they do it that way.
Okay. So there have been other people who have also said that the decision of the Supreme Court in the matter that we're talking about, when the MPP MPs actually went to the Supreme Court to seek the interpretation of what happened. Like you mentioned, the Speaker of Parliament did what was right at the time. But some other people argue that the Supreme Court could have also handled the matter a little differently, because around the same time, tempests were really high. What would you, I know you might not be able to talk against the ruling of the Supreme Court justices, but do you agree that maybe another way could have been taken in terms of handling that ruling? Could the Supreme Court have also allowed the Speaker's ruling to have also just been the case?
Yes. Oh, it's not difficult to say that the Supreme Court didn't handle the matter well at all. Afterwards, I will send you, last week I was on TV3, the key points. And even before last Saturday, the decision came on Friday afternoon. That same Friday afternoon, we started analyzing and we said the Supreme Court was totally wrong. They were just wrong. It was a very bad decision. They didn't handle it well. But you see, right now, I don't want to go on and on because we must move on. The court itself, I'm sure they've seen that it's not the best. But human beings make mistakes. And I'm on record. So many interviews I've already granted. So I just decided that right now, so in this interview, I don't want to go on and on about how the Supreme Court didn't get it right. We all make mistakes. The saving grace is that at least the country has not gone into war because of the decision. So it is my firm belief that this is time for us to concentrate on the solutions, concentrate on resolving the matter, because we've already bashed the Supreme Court enough. It's all over. I would send you, maybe you can play that one back, a full session on, analyzing and showing what went wrong. But I've decided that it's okay. Let's move on, because we all make mistakes. It happens.
You speak of solutions. What are the solutions going forward from here? There's an adjournment. There's a Supreme Court order of the sort. Where do we go from here?
Yes, so the Speaker haven't adjourned. My understanding is that, as he himself, not just understanding, he said that to do further consultation. So my understanding there is that he'll be talking to the peace entrepreneurs, the peace entrepreneurs. That's the big stakeholders, governance experts, etc. So that they try to fashion a way, calm tempers, and then they will negotiate something, because obviously the decision is a slap in the face of Parliament. It has done a lot of violence to the this and that, the way the constitution is structured, the institutions of governance as three co-equal arms: the judiciary, executive, and then the legislature, right? This decision has sort of rocked the boat too much, and as I've said, we don't want to go into details about what totally went wrong. Okay, we've discussed enough of that. So I think the consultations will be how to reach middle ground, so that the Supreme Court decision will guide the Parliament going forward. That's to say, middle ground, meaning that, look, the restraining orders were set to be in operation, or the Supreme Court made the order that Parliament is restrained until the end of the decision of the Speaker is suspended until the Supreme Court finishes dealing with the matter. I believe these are things that they can negotiate. I mean, get middle ground, and then perhaps go back to court to vary the order, or they will just agree that, listen, well, the Supreme Court is decided this way, but they can come together and fashion middle ground. Yes. So once the talks are going on, let's see what comes up. Yes.
You understand the law better, so help us. Maybe we would know from here whether the NDC is right to say that they are still majority or not. Now, the Speaker acted on a provision of the Constitution, and he ruled and said that this was the case. That overturned the structure in Parliament at the time, making the NDC the majority. Help us. Where does who stand? Are the MDC right to say they are majority now? The MPP as well, from what happened in the Supreme Court, can they also say that that decision had been overturned? Help us understand that better.
Yes, so in matters like this, if we are speaking pure law, okay, to the extent that, yes, the Speaker declared the 4 seats vacant, so the NDC are right in saying they are majority. But we also understand that, yes, notwithstanding everything, we're a country of laws. The Supreme Court has given an order which seeks to restore the majority to the MPP. Okay, so but now is the implementation of it that the Speaker hasn't done yet. So right now, let's say that we are in an uncertain state until the Speaker comes to say, yes, this is the decision of the Supreme Court, we are going by it. So for now, it's impossible to say who is majority and who is minority, because the Supreme Court has reversed the Speaker's decision. But the Speaker is yet to put it into implementation. The Speaker is yet to implement the decision. So once, and so we don't know whether he's accepting it or not, but we hope he's accepting it, because he says he's adjourning the sitting for consultations to continue. That's why earlier I mentioned that. So the way I see it is that they will agree on something, middle of the road. It's give and take. You say, let's mention that when a court gives a decision, it doesn't always mean that everything that the court says is what will be done. There is opportunity to compromise it. So let me give you a simple example, but even though here it may not be 100%, we can't go in, but I just want a simple example. So you are, your name again? Eche, and then the cameraman? Richard. So Eche, let's say that Richard owes you $1 million. You come to court. This is the court complex. You win the case. Now, you go back. The fact that the court says go for $1 million doesn't mean that you must at all costs take the $1 million from Richard. No, it's your money. So you can look at it and say, look, Richard, you and I, we work as a team. We've been doing this work for a while. So because of our relationship, so many things and etc., out of the $1 million, just give me $50,000 and that will be the end. If you sign on it, that's it. So though you may be holding a court judgment that says take $1 million from Richard, if you, Eche, you agree to take $50,000 to cancel the rest of the $950,000, it's not a matter for the court. It's your matter. So I'm just showing that's a simple example. Here it's a bit complex because it involves the constitution, but I'm telling you that notwithstanding, still they will be able to negotiate some things that let's agree some middle grounds. Yeah, it's very important that they do the negotiation and get middle grounds so that we can move on Because obviously, the NDC don't look like they are ready to accept the decision just the way it is. They want something. So, it's politics, like horse trading. So I think we shouldn't preempt the situation. Let them come out. They will come out with something that will look workable. If not beautiful, at least it will be workable enough for our democracy to move forward.
Is this the time for us to revisit the conversation on looking at our constitution and amending certain parts of that constitution?
Absolutely. Look, you see, that's why I say, listen, in every cloud, there's a silver lining, right? Yes, every crisis creates opportunities. So we are seeing how our constitution is sick. The constitution is lopsided. The constitution is so bad, right? So that we will be doing reforms. And this Supreme Court decision, one of the first lessons it's teaching us is that in the constitution, when we are doing the reforms, we should look to take away the power of the president to appoint Supreme Court judges. Even the Supreme Court itself is not exactly, at least let me mention the Chief Justice publicly. She has said the president, some of the constitutional provisions that give the president disciplinary powers over the judges, all judges, Superior Court judges, she doesn't like. So you see, if a Chief Justice at her vetting can say, if you want to remove a judge, you have to, a Superior Court judge, that's High Court, Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, you have to route it through the presidency, etc. The Chief Justice says it's not good. My point is that that's not all that I believe, that there is more that the Chief Justice wants. So the point is that, at least right now in the Constitution, apart from the president nominating these judges, also when it comes to discipline, he's holding or he looms large. So we need to reform and totally insulate the appointment of judges from the executive, so that we will make the judiciary more independent. There are other occasions the Chief Justice has complained that the executive was starving the judiciary of funds. They will not release money so that the court will not function well. So if they are not releasing money, what do you think it does? It tends to compromise the judicial system, because they will then try to do things that will please the executive so that the money will be released quickly. So as for constitutional reforms, almost every problem we get, it boils down to this our sick constitution. So it's good. As for reforming this constitution, the new government has to reform the constitution. We will have to do a lot of amendments, or maybe a total overhaul, because this constitution definitely is very sick. It wasn't meant for these times that we are in now.
Lawyer, just finally, before I let you go, we're just a few weeks to a crucial major elections. This that has happened in Parliament and from the Supreme Court angle and everything. Is this going to affect the composition or even the arrangements for the elections in any way? Should we be worried that such things are happening only weeks before a major election like this?
Well, naturally, yes. We cannot totally discount these events. No, we will be naive to discount these events totally. But I also see that the Ghanaian spirit, we are very resilient people. So we'll surmount it. I can see that at the end of the day, Ghana will keep together. Yes, though there are troubling indications, we are not happy with the way the EC is not willing to do the forensic audit. Because if the EC has nothing to fear, why won't EC do the forensic audit for the whole world to see, like was done in Kenya, etc.? So this Supreme Court decision yes, it has come to reduce confidence in the judicial system, etc. We can't run away from that. But if you look at Ghana, you see, the way we intermarry, okay, we intercohabit, etc. No, we can't plunge this country into a state of war. No, I don't see that. We will pull through. I mean, to be very clear, Akufo-Addo and Bawumia have performed poorly. I have no doubt whatsoever that we are going to vote against the MPP resoundingly. I have no doubt whatsoever. I supported Akufo-Addo. I've never voted for JM. But right now, today, I can play ostrich. NDC is the biggest opposition. They usually have at least about 45%. So they need just about 5% to cross. So people like us, the floating voters, who usually change. Yes, we will go in that direction. We can't hide it, because with the way Akufo-Addo and Bawumia have looted this country, I cannot vote for Bawumia. Bawumia, listen, his in-law, Ramadan, Samira's brother, took a scholarship, about £18,000. He didn't attend the school. He couldn't even arrange to defer the admission. So the money just went into a drain, about 18,000 pounds. You know how many students that could have catered for here? Baumia's brothers are taking sole sourcing contracts for road construction, etc. The cocoa board roads, right? Other things, PDS, Baumia was involved in. So many things. I voted for them in 2016. I cannot vote for the same Baumia. No, I'll be rewarding corruption. So he has to go. Let somebody else come. At least there's solace is that JM, when it comes to the records, his fight, okay, his record on corruption is better than Akufo-Addo and Baumia. JM's lowest mark on the fight against corruption was 43. Akufo-Addo, since he came, he and Baumia, for the 7 years, their best mark is 43. So JM's lowest is Akufo-Addo's best. I mean, so, and of course, it's not just Akufo-Addo. If you read Article 76, etc., Baumia helps the president. Yes, he's vice president. He can't run away from that record. So, based on the record, look, corruption, press freedom, democracy index, and the economy, JM has it. I mean, let's be very factual. Not because he's an angel, but relatively. You see, we are comparing relatively. It's not like we have Angel Gabriel in the mix and we are refusing to vote. Angel Gabriel is not part of this election. We are comparing Baumia and John Mahama. And it's clear that John Mahama is a better candidate. So he will win. That one, I have no doubt.
All right, lawyer, thank you very much. This is lawyer Martin Kpebu, and we just dragged him out of court actually this morning just to discuss the things that have been happening in the last few weeks from Parliament into the Supreme Court and how that portends for the upcoming general elections on December 7. My name is Echi Atisu, and this has been Election Desk on GhanaWeb TV.